Okay, so now we are going deeper into Ajaata. As you move ahead, you will start noticing the definition that you had created for the person. It starts melting away, it starts withering away. And it's very difficult for the ego to accept that, especially because I have spent 30, 40, 50 years of my life building this person that I have labeled as Ekta. Ekta is this, Ekta is that. You have built a lot of stories and then you've believed those stories. Now as you go ahead with the higher chapters of Ajaata, you will start noticing that this starts withering away. All these stories do not stand anymore. And the ego does not like it. It wants to hold on to that because it feels this is what I have built. This is who I am. Yeah, so you will notice now and then the ego will come up with new strategies to pull you away from this withering of the person, the melting away of the person, the dying, the death of the person. It is not going to make it easy. It's only going to get tougher here. Yeah? Because now your wisdom is almost complete. There is not much to know. The only thing that is remaining now is for the old conditioning to drop away and you allowing that conditioning to drop away. Yeah, so have you started noticing some things come up? You don't have to answer now. You ask this question to yourself. Have I started noticing certain resistances of the ego come up? And whenever you notice, make a separate page on your notebook or you can do it in the Ajaata journal. Resistances noticed, whatever, on account of the ego, or you don't want to put that whole thing, just say the resistance is noticed and you start listing it down. And as you see, you will progress through the higher chapters, you will see these resistances also will drop away. Then on a later date you can come back to that and then strike through and say, notice this drop away. But I must be vigilant because I don't know when the ego brings it back. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? We are working at a very subtle level of the ego now going forward. Ego is not going to make it easy because it's not ready to let go of that identity that it has worked so hard to create all these years. Everybody is different, so everybody notices it in different areas. Some of us will notice it more with family. Some of us are very, very attached to family. That's where I noticed my ego not letting go of the person. Yeah, there is a lot of resistance to let go of this particular attachment. Whatever it is, you see. Some people are very attached to their work. Whatever it is. The position, the title, whatever. Maybe you have worked very hard to reach somewhere very high in your career. And now, watching that fade away, wither away, that's not something that the ego can handle. So start checking. Check every area. Yeah, this is where I am noticing the resistance. And just put it down. Nothing, you don't have to do anything. Now the knowledge takes care of everything automatically. Have you started recognizing any way you were not doing till now? It was just a fake idea I had that, oh, I am an Advaitin. I am making an effort to attend Advaita. I am a spiritual seeker. I am working on myself. All stories. That is also not true. Do you notice even that withering away? Perfect. Perfect. So start making these notes. Seeing the person die is very important. Why is it important? Right now you won't see the importance. Right now you say, yeah, I accept it, there is no problem. Suddenly when a testing time comes up, where your strongest attachment comes right in your face, that's when what you had written down will help. Yeah? And this has to be like a daily thing that I notice, I put it down. I notice, I put it down. I keep noticing the person dying, and I'm willingly accepting the death of the person. Yeah. Ego doesn't even like the word death of the person. Do you notice that inside? There's a revulsion to that. No. Yeah. If you're in a happy, nice state right now, it's a little more acceptable. But if you've just come from a little tiff with a family member, then see how you don't want to even listen to this. Yeah. So it's always the state of the mind that dictates how easily acceptable this truth is. Clear? This is the first thing that you will be doing going forward on a daily basis. You notice something, put it down. Notice something, put it down. You notice I've overcome the resistance, see that you put it down. Now, second point. The same resistance, when you put it down that it's gone, and you're feeling all good about it, it comes up in another form in a few days. It changes its color like a chameleon. Yeah. So you have to become very vigilant. This is another color of it. It's the same ego, same resistance. A few days ago, I think, Shailaja put it in vlog that when she was writing the journal, she noticed that what she was writing, she could not relate to that anymore. Has this started happening with everybody? You cannot relate to what you yourself have written in the journal in the past? Yes, this is the first sign that you are noticing the person die. Actually, it's the personality. You had defined it and you had created a story. Whatever that little story was in that field of the journal, you see that it does not exist anymore. So if in the journal entries you notice, like she said, you create a second line right under it. For example, your first line is I'm not a doer line in the journal, and you've written some stuff and now you cannot relate with that same thing. Under that, create another line. Same for I am not the doer. You put a strike through the original line. Strike through still helps you read it. Yeah, so you put a strike through the original lines and you make new entries. Yes. So it is like reinforcing to myself, that this attachment was only a story. But now that is not there. I do not identify with it anymore. So put it very clearly how you see it. Very clear? Yeah. But don't just delete the whole thing. Let it be there. Why? Because the same thing can come up in the future in another form. So we have to keep a vigilant eye on each of these. Super clear? So let me go a little deeper into this point and point out what happens at this stage. When you come to this stage of Ajaata, the other form that the ego can take, that is called Yoga Maya. Yes, and that is given as a warning to every student at this stage. Yeah, that you become very confident. Oh, see, I know all of this. I am at this level. I am a senior. I'm at Ajaata Vaad. All those things, the constant refueling of the ego that keeps happening with this. You have to keep a very thorough check on that. You have to remember that the main purpose why I am writing this journal is to notice the death of the person. So now it's not just the death of the person in terms of the material world. It's also that you have developed a definition for I, the spiritual person. I, the spiritual seeker. You have a personality created in your mind about yourself. You have an image created in your mind. You look at that image in the mirror and you pump your ego with these things. I'm an Ajaatvadan, I'm an Advaitin, I have reached here. So what this does is that it makes this ego come up with new masks every now and then. Yeah. So we have to be very careful of these new masks that the ego can wear. Someday it is the best journal writer. Ekta said excellent in the journal. And become the best journal writer. Someday become the best spiritual volunteer. Someday you want to be Advaitin, the best Advaitin. And then all these new ambitions start coming. I am going to be the future Advaitin teacher. So these are all the ways of the ego to wear new masks and come up. Do not fall for any of these. Once you fall into the trap of Yoga Maya, even Ekta cannot help you. Because you will say, I don't need a teacher. These will be your words. I am there. Now I am done. But every teacher will tell you this thing. Who is saying, I am done? I am there. Who is this I? That means the I has not died yet. It is alive and kicking. Yes, so this is given as the warning at this stage. As your mentor, my job is to constantly warn you. Yes, you should not take it personally. Oh, she's telling me personally. I'm not telling anybody personally. As your mentor, my job is to constantly keep the cards on the table in front of you. Look, this can happen. Be vigilant. Be vigilant. What's the point after you fall that I tell you you've fallen? You won't even listen after the fall, right? It's before the fall that I have to keep telling you, be vigilant. Yeah. So how do I be vigilant? As the personality dies, it will become clear it is desires dying. What was personality? Personality was nothing but a bunch of desires of mine. Yes, all cravings and aversions, I put them into a nice Lego and made a person out of it, and I believe this is who I am. As the person dies, all these old desires that had taken the form of personality, they start burning away, they start dying away. Yes, so what does it mean when truly the person dies? Is it that the desires don't arise? No. Desires were programmed with this body-mind. Yeah. So whatever was the old program, you will notice those desires dying. But I, the consciousness, I, the awareness, recognize that these are not mine. Yes? So every time you notice a desire arise, check, is the dispassion strong enough to watch that desire play for its shelf life and wither away. Every desire that comes up will wither away. That is the way the design is. There is no desire that can keep lurking forever. So watch that desire come up, play, do its dance, and watch it shed away. Watch it wither away. Recognize I am the black hole that sucks in this desire. It arises also from me, it dances, and it gets sucked into me. Clear? So, how will I notice it? Keep noticing these desires. That's how the ego wears a new mask, a new mask, a new mask. So, my job is to be vigilant about the new masks of the ego. Another important part of this watching the person die is to recognize, have I become overconfident that the person is dead already? Yeah, some of us get overconfident at this Ajaata Vaad level. Not your fault. It's the program of the mind. Yes? So the mind is going to bring up that kind of overconfidence talk or whatever that it was programmed for in the past. Some of us are exactly the opposite. We have no confidence at all. Yeah. Even when we see changes, we beat ourselves up. Some of us have the other kind of programming. This is the mind's programming, remember. Yeah. Both are wrong. Both come under Yoga Maya. Overconfidence also, underconfidence also. Both are stories of the mind, no? Do you understand from where it's coming? Yeah, both are stories of the mind. Keep a check on both. So, these programmings bring us back to square one. We have to be very aware of these. So, I gave an example to somebody a few days ago that Ravana was enlightened. You know about this? Yeah. Why did Ravana fall from his enlightenment? Even today in Sri Lanka, Ravana is worshipped. You know this, right? He's worshipped as God in Sri Lanka. So, Ravana was enlightened and he fell from his enlightenment because he came to the point where he started recognizing, I'm not the doer, everything is happening. So he took undue advantage of this point and he said, okay, if I'm not the doer, then I'm not the one who is in love with a married woman. I'm not the one who is kidnapping this married woman. You see that? I'm not the doer of these atrocities. They are being committed by the body mind. I am free. So that's how Ravana fell from his enlightenment. Yeah, so this is a word of caution given at this highest level that I am not the doer does not mean that you get the liberty to do what you want. I am not the doer means that I, the witness, I, the consciousness, I do not have the ability to do at all. Big difference. I can only know what is naturally happening. Is this very clear? Yeah, this example is very clear. Yeah. So it does not mean that I get liberty to do what I want. Now, if you remember, I think in Maharaj, Nisargadatta Maharaj's previous chapter, 2-3 chapters ago, I gave you this homework that there are two kinds of desires or two kinds of thoughts. One is natural. The body is feeling hungry. Naturally, you will see the body move towards the kitchen. It doesn't think, I am hungry, I have to go to the kitchen. There are no thoughts like that. It's a very subtle natural pull towards the kitchen to go get something to eat. The body needs to use the restroom, it naturally goes. These are the natural thoughts. Remember, we spoke about this? And then there are cravings and aversions. These are separate. Yes, these are very strong pulls and they can be clearly identified, or they stand out from the naturally occurring thoughts. So how will I recognize? I have to be more antarmukhi, keep looking at the thoughts, being aware of them and recognizing whenever there is this strong pull, the cravings and aversions. That's when I just remain as the witness to it. Yes, because this is the danger. This is what can pull me. Natural thoughts don't bother. Yes, has this distinction become very clear between the two types of thoughts for everybody? Yeah. So those who are not clear must keep doing a little more aware, internal. Okay, what's this? What's going on? Am I getting pulled? When I'm getting pulled, that means I'm not maintaining my stand of I am just the knower. I can only know, I cannot do. This craving or aversion is nothing but a past conditioning that I am the person, I can do. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So again and again recognizing. See, we are working at a very subtle level. So it's almost like all threads of desires are all intermingled into a big jumble, and now you are actually like sorting them out from that whole. So you have to be very careful. It's a very subtle, intricate process that you are doing on your own self. Is that very clear? Yeah. How do I have to keep vigilance? By recognizing the difference between natural thoughts and strong cravings and aversions. Because these cravings and aversions are nothing but those conditioning from the past that says I am the person. Clear so far? Yes. The next tip that I can give you is never ever assume I can stop learning. I know it all. This is the biggest disease on this path. I know it all. Now I can stop learning. I am done. No, one must never say that. Yeah, that again gives the ego a chance to again get into its new mask. And then you will never ever see that person die. You will never really get that joy that comes out of seeing the false person die. You're missing the most essential part of this growth. Yeah. I've seen some sadhaks make this mistake. They arrive at this kind of high point in their wisdom journey, and then their old conditioning kicks in. I know it. I don't need a teacher. I am there. And I've seen them fall. Yeah. So be very careful. I know it. Oh, okay. Put it down. Resistance seen. All resistance of the ego has come up. What does it mean? Very clearly put it down. It means I is alive and kicking. The false personal I is alive and kicking. I have to be vigilant now. Yeah, otherwise, who is assuming that I know this? Who is saying I'm done? How will I know that really the I has died? You have heard a lot of stories in Upanishads, and you have heard lots of stories in other from other scriptures too, where there is no more desire to initiate, no more desire to do. Yeah, whatever comes my way is regarded as the flow, and it happens naturally through the body. I do not do anything. I notice that the body just does whatever comes its way naturally. Yes, like a robot. If I give the robot the same journal that you're writing and tell it keep writing again and again, I tell him after a few days begin from the beginning, will he have resistance? No. The ego will not say, I don't want to do this. I know it now, I know everything. No. He will do the same exercise 1,000,000 times without questioning. Why? Why will that happen to me? How will I become a robot? It's not that I become the robot. I recognize this body mind is a robot. It always was a robot. I gave it a personality. I gave it a label, Ekta. I gave it consciousness. You know how little girls play with dolls and they believe the doll to be real? That's exactly what I have done with this body mind. This is my doll. I played with it. I put life into it and I believed that it is real. Now we are going back to its true identity. We are removing all the story. Yeah, no more kid stories there. And we are recognizing the truth. The truth is that this body mind was always a robot. It is a robot. Yes. And everything in this robot's world, everything is futile, is pointless. For example, when you were that little kid playing with the doll, everything was real for you. Even the fake chai, the fake tea and coffee that you made was so real. Yes, it had meaning. If mummy took that thing away, the toy away and said, no, now is homework time, no more playing. How it was like the end of your life, finish, wah, wah, wah. Yes. Now do you do the same wah, wah, wah? No, you don't even look at that doll. You don't look at that little doll house. You don't care about those things. It's all futile. It's pointless. It doesn't mean anything to you. That is your clue. When all this becomes meaningless. The husband, the wife, the child, the parent, the house, the money, the job, when all of it becomes futile. Exactly the way that little dollhouse has become futile. Like that, if it becomes futile, then you can confidently say, yes, I have recognized the death of the I. Yes, there is no more desire to exist even. The desire to exist is called jijiviksha. Even that desire to exist is not there anymore. Yeah. That does not mean you go and commit suicide. Because why would you even commit suicide if you're a robot? A robot doesn't think of committing suicide. Yes, even committing suicide would come from a desire to change it, to want it to be something other than what it is right now. That is also iksha, jijiviksha. Very clear? Yeah. You recognize the absolute futility of everything. Absolute. Then there is no point of even giving up anything or taking on anything, because everything is futile. You don't go looking for one sensible thing to do in this futile world. There is not even that one sensible thing left. Do you see? Because the ego likes to find that one sensible thing. I am the sensible one and everybody else is nonsense. No. It's not that everybody is nonsense. Everything is nonsense in this world. This is the realization. Yeah. Then it doesn't bother, because everything is futile anyways. Okay, if I have to play this game, let me play this game. Doll house or this little bigger house, same thing. Doll toys or these little possessions, these gadgets, same thing. Or in business you have that fake money, paper money, that fake money that you play with in Monopoly, or this real money in the real bank, same thing, equally futile. When that happens, then you can say confidently, yes, I have noticed the death of the I. Till that time, the I still exists. So don't get into overconfidence. Very clear? So when is the journey over? When there is zero resistance from the robot. Zero resistance. Okay.
When there is still ego, and if I do what the ego tells me, like I know everything, there is suffering at that very point. That is a sure sign, won't it be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In yesterday's chapter, Maharaj said a very beautiful thing, that the nature of this waking state is problems, is suffering. So if you get into anything in this waking state, I want to do, I want to act, I want to be, it is going to be suffering. There is no other way. Yeah, you remember that point? So recognize this truth. It is suffering. Either I should stop saying that I don't want suffering, because I'm indulging in suffering one way, and then I'm saying I don't want suffering, which is only possible here at the consciousness level. Yeah. Anything in the waking state is equal to suffering. Anything, even the pleasure of the waking state is equal to suffering, because that is its nature. And the moment you recognize that little restlessness within you, that is suffering. Have you noticed? I have not even acted upon the desire. The desire has just come up. Now it created that little ripple in my quiet, serene lake. I was so serene before this. I was so quiet when I was simply the awareness, the consciousness. The moment I have entertained a desire, it creates that ripple. That should be your indication. This is going to become a tsunami. Then I cannot say that, oh, why do I not have peace? Who was the one who kindled that little ripple to become a tsunami? Even a little ripple, after some time, calms down and you go back to your nature. If you let it just be. If you go and poke it, obviously, then it's going to become the tsunami. Beautiful.
Buddha has said when he says, I am the awakened one. So awaking from this dream state.
Yes.
And also when he says everything is suffering, everything in this
State is suffering. Yes. So Aditya is talking about Maharaj's chapter yesterday where it was brought up about Buddhism. So what Buddha really meant is everything in this waking state is suffering. All of it. You cannot end one particular thing in that state, one particular event. You have to come to this recognition. I am beyond that. Then only that ends. So, waking up from this futility, like a kid grows up and drops the toys. That moment is such, he never goes back to it. Can you go back to playing and believing that the doll is real? You cannot, how much ever you want to. Just like before some friend of yours told you that Santa Claus is not real. You really believed in Santa Claus. Yes, but the day you found out Santa Claus is not real, there is no more going back to that. Yes? So the same thing will happen at awakening. There is no more going back to that. You cannot go back to that. It's a one-way street. Yes? So we become more and more vigilant about this. Have I recognized this truth? Or is there still some mask the ego wears and pulls me back into this dreamland? Moment to moment, it's a new picture. So you don't know. I just give examples of family, career. These are the strongest. But in every category, you have the big stones, you have the mid-sized pebbles, and then you have lots of sand. In every category. The big pebbles are very evident to you. Oh, I'm very attached to this family member, or I'm very attached to my so many years of coming to this managing position, wherever you are in your company. The big ones are visible and you feel, okay, I'm not so attached to this. There are the tiny sand particles in the same category that come up. You have to notice them. Yeah? Ekta cannot notice what is happening to Bhavani or to Veda. But you can recognize, see, this little thing came up. This little thing came up. That little thing came up. Just stay. Just stay. Do not kindle the ripple. Don't play with the ripple. It comes of its own accord and it calms down and silences again. Let it. Let it. Yeah? Don't wear every mask the ego brings your way. Not me, not my mask, not my mask. Clear?
Didi, it almost makes me think that I can never say that the person has died because when I even say it, I am the person
Who is saying it? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Superb. That's when you go into absolute silence. There's nothing to say after that. Yeah. So, if you know Ramana Maharshi's path, he used to just sit in silence. So, who could be just in silence and get the teaching? The person who had reached there where the I had died. When the I has died, what questions should I ask? There's no question that comes up to ask the master. Yeah? Then you just go, you just be there. You recognize that this person, Ramana Maharshi, is somebody who understands that silence, that I am. There is connection only in that silence. There is no more connection required for that person. The silence is complete. Yeah. Then you don't have to say that the person is dead. Then I will know. Yeah, because we connect in that silence. So till that happens, you continue doing your journal. Just continue watching the person die. There's another bliss in watching that die. It cannot be put in words. It's really a bliss to watch it die. And the ego will do kud. Oh this, oh that. It'll come up with its crying and whining. Watching it die and wither away. There's a joy in that. This is very important. Why? Because the ego is very good at forgetting these lessons. Have you noticed? Loves to forget them. Yeah? It wants to go back to its airy fairy land. Forget all of this. Yeah? But there is no going back. And it's not ready to accept this truth. That this is a one-way street. You can never go back and play with your dolls. The ego comes up. Why does it come up? Because it has not accepted the truth that I cannot go back to that. It still wants in some way that you forget all of this and you go back to the old person. Yeah? Notice this. Notice this thing of the ego.